What's going on, everyone? This is Jack with the Trading Tribe. Welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to make a video on 4 golden rules that have kind of helped me become a 6-figure a year trader and what has really helped take me to the next level within trading. I also wanted to go through a couple swing trades that I'm in as we speak in the market, starting off with this NQ swing trade, right? I've been long NQ really ever since the tariff lows. And this week, for example, right, we have gotten a fairly nice pullback where we pulled back near the 5 and 10 moving average on our higher time frames. And prior to this, right, last week was pretty much straight vertical. So we were waiting, right, for this pullback in the markets to be able to get long and get some long exposure. That's really all I've done this week on really all of the assets you can see here on the left, right? I'm long on NASDAQ, long on Bitcoin, long on natural gas, and I still have a swing trade on SPY as well. These are my position kind of statuses of each of the trades here, my average price, and then kind of where they're at now. So really all 4 of these swing trades are going really well here. In this case today on NASDAQ, I am just targeting that last high. And for a lot of my swing trades, that's how I'll do it. So you can see I have like a bracket preset where I will get out at kind of that predefined target on each of these. And then like always, right, I'm just trailing my stop loss. So I'm making sure that all 5 of these trades do end up in profit because we are kind of nearing target on most of the trades as well. I'm also in on some nice options trades. So here are the tickers I'm trading on the option side and have some long exposure on those as well. In order to kind of go through the tips I have today, I'll kind of use the charts as an example. I think this will really help. And we wanted to start with kind of rule number 1 that's really helped me as a trader, which is what I like to call the daily reset. And I think as a trader, regardless of the type of trading that you're doing, I think that daily reset concept can really help you focus better and really help you follow just what's actually happening, because the markets change every day, right? The markets have a lot going on. And so in a way, right, we don't really know what's going to happen tomorrow, right? The market can be on a great uptrend or it can be on a big sell-off, but that doesn't mean it's going to be on that big uptrend the next day, right? And I think as a trader, it's really easy to come in with a bias, especially if you're looking at the news and stuff like that, what your family thinks about what's happening in the markets. It's really easy to have that bias. And I think one of the biggest rules that have pushed me to the next level is really having that reset every day as to kind of what's going to happen. I think last week even was a really good example of that, right? We had the war happening overseas, and the market saw a pretty big gap down after actually a lower high as well. So a lot of people, right, in the trend world will consider that kind of a downtrend, right? When we're dropping, usually we're having those lower highs and those lower lows, and that's what we had. But then the second that news came out and the market was open, right, we immediately recovered kind of that gap down. And if you're too biased, right, to short the market, this is a perfect example of where you really wanted that daily reset where you could come in Monday, realize that that downtrend was not happening, and avoid shorting. And so really big key tip there. I think it could help a lot of people, and really just focusing on following price instead. Next, second golden rule here, at least on my side, is really thinking about the market as who is getting rewarded. I think this makes it a lot easier to figure out trades or to just understand kind of what's happening on any given day. And I like to really think about who is getting rewarded. You can also call this kind of order flow, or looking at those intraday charts and just kind of understanding who's winning essentially. We can see here today, for example, right, NASDAQ is moving up, right, really well, right, in the last, 10 hours or so, 5 hours or so here on the chart. We can see that we've started way down here, and Nasdaq's just steadily climbing. So if I was day trading or scalping, or even in my case, right, swing trading it, we want to probably be on that long side, and that's the side that's getting rewarded, right? It's been very difficult to short this on the intraday time frame and on the hourly time frame, for example, because of the fact that the buyers at this point, right, are getting rewarded. And I've found as a trader, it's a lot easier to focus on that instead of focusing on both, right? And it's really where the easy money is at. Next is going to be quality versus quantity and kind of focusing on quality trades. I think in the beginning this was extremely hard too because you don't necessarily know, right, what is quality. But I think in trading that's been a huge, huge thing that's helped me. Less is more, right? That concept totally applies here. Pareto principle, whatever you want to call it, right? If you do start to focus, right, on those A+ days for your strategy and put more of your money there, right? I think that can be a huge game changer for your trading, right? It's tricky to not do this when you get better as well, because if you think about it, sometimes there really aren't any trades for your strategy. So for me, I like trading trends the most. And when a trend's already happened, right, and we're at a big higher high, for example, like we were earlier this week, sometimes, right, there can't be any great buys, right? Because of the fact that the move's already happened. And so sometimes instead of trying to do too much, maybe short this on a pullback, or wait to buy it, sometimes it's a lot better to just wait for that next pullback. In this example, right, we got that pullback. And then like we can see here, right, I was able to kind of capitalize on that pullback. And so instead of trying to trade every day, or stare at the charts when my setup's not there, I've kind of learned to let that quality type trade come into my wheelhouse instead of trying to swing at everything and letting the numbers kind of play out that way, because these quality trades have higher odds typically, better risk to reward typically, and offer the most edge in that case as well. And then last but not least, this has been a huge one for me, is trying to put your stop loss where you're wrong on the trade. I think online you can see a lot about how to do risk management, and I think a lot of the concepts are out there, which is great. But I think one of the risk management concepts that's huge for me, at least as a swing trader, is really trying to put your stop loss where you're wrong. And I try to always do this, especially on the swing trade side, right? If I'm buying a pullback, for example, let's just say I buy right there, which is right about where I did buy for this trade. You can see I bought this contract at 22,702, which is right about there as well. So this is a good example. When I get in that trade, right, if I'm targeting that high and really going for that kind of trend trade recovery there, I would like to put a stop loss on a spot here on the chart where I'm wrong, right? So I'll typically try to have it under one of these major lows, because as a trend trader, right, we just want it making higher lows and higher highs. So once we get in, right, think of it as I like to put my stop loss where I would be wrong. And so focusing on that on top of the risk of a trade, I think can really, really help. And then even when a trade is working like this one and getting close to target, what I like to do is just have that stop loss close, right? But based on the same principles, right? So this 1 minute chart is steadily going up, and I have my stop loss right around a pretty major low, at least here on the 1 minute time frame. And so it's that same concept, right? I don't really want to get out of this trade if it just does some sort of a pullback today. But if it does a major pullback, one that I do not want to hold through, that's where I'd rather have my stop loss instead of basing it on the money. I think a lot of traders will just, say they're risking $100 and put their stop loss $100 down. I like to kind of do it the opposite way, right? Put my stop loss where my idea is wrong, and then position size accordingly, right? To make that kind of meet the risk rules. Hopefully this helps. These are 4 trades that have really helped kind of get my trading to the next level. If there's any questions, feel free to leave those down below. Welcome back to the channel, and hopefully come back for a lot more videos out there. Let me know if you guys need anything. Thank you.